Morning, everyone. We're gonna start our meeting with the pledge of allegiance. I'm gonna have Emily start us off.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the April 20th, 2023 Rockingham County Commissioners meeting. In attendance, I'll go in the room first. I'm gonna start with Jude Gates. We have Emily, is it Tomasi?
Yeah.
Emily Tomasi, who is our new grant writer. We have Commissioner Coyle. Commissioner Godu, we have Leila, we have Chuck Nickerson. And on Zoom, we have Jason Smith. We have the sheriff and Catherine Mann. And I think that's it for now. And we have Allison's walking in the room now. And I guess everybody's will start to pop in as we begin, but let's start with the RFP openings. The Hobart Commercial Dishwasher.
I move to authorize the Senior Director of Long-Term Care Services to review, evaluate the proposals and return with a recommendation.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Not on the motion, Commissioner Coyle.
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
I will vote yes. The contracted prosecution services for the sheriff's office.
I move to authorize the High Sheriff to review, evaluate the proposals and return with a recommendation.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Not on the motion, Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. Award of 2 stackable combi oven steamers.
Oh, I move to table that.
All right, we're gonna
Till
table
later in
that
the
for a little
meeting?
bit later.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm looking at this.
Oh, that's the next one.
That was my apologies. I move to award the proposal for 2 stackable combi oven steamers to Singer Kittredge for an amount not to exceed $33,510 as recommended by the Senior Director of Long-Term Care Services.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Not on the motion, Commissioner Coyle?
Yeah,
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Now, Commissioner Coyle?
yes. Well, I will move to table the Hobart Commercial Dishwasher
Yeah.
award for later in the meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye on tabling this.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, consent agenda for 4/6/23 and 4/13/23.
I move to approve the April 6, 2023 non-public minutes and the April 13th public meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, on the motion, Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
I will vote yes. Bi-weekly recruitment report is in our packet. It's informational. Does anyone wanna chime in on anything there? Not, we'll move along. It's always nice to have those reports. I think they're really nice to have.
Yes, and I will say that we have 3 new correctional officers starting Monday, so
It's awesome.
that is very exciting. Just ongoing, that means that seems to be going well, so. the news.
Quarterly update for the 2023 QAPI project dashboard. Does anyone want to chime in on that at all? Again, that's information in our packet. Quarterly update on the 2023 FSA compliance program on the dashboard. And that is information on our packet. And then we've got the 4/20/23 accounts payable list.
And I move to approve the remainder of the consent agenda, which includes an accounts payable list total of $2,666,125.83.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded, but is there any discussion? Not on the motion, Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
I will vote yes. Okay, then the liaison reports. Commissioner Godu, do you have anything you'd like to share?
I don't have much to share today, except that on the news, I saw that the state prison system is offering a $10,000 sign-on bonus.
Yeah.
I'd like to monitor that and find out if that really makes any difference, for the state prison. You know, if that's what's motivating, or if the market is just empty with, lack of employees, but
Yeah.
everything else, all is well. I have nothing else to add.
All right, Commissioner Coyle?
Let's see, the jail population is at 150. There's no COVID, so we've been staying really covering right at that 150 for now. What is ongoing and really, a struggle is the number of individuals with, significant mental health needs. And as part and parcel of that, we should be opening hopefully by next month, the AV unit just for, acute mental health needs, which is great. It will take people out of the process, out of processing where the lights are kept on and things like that. And hopefully that will help with the log jam of individuals in processing, particularly before the summer months come and we have everybody in from Hampton Beach being held overnight while
Whose
they.
district is that, by the way?
Hampton, oh, yes. So, there's also a number of, at least one person on the wait list for an IEA to go to the state hospital. So what we're seeing is a number of instances of where we're housing individuals that really should be at the state hospital, but there's not sufficient beds availability at the state hospital. Which is really just such extreme, all this lends to an extremely taxing situation for the correctional officers, and the correctional officers really are just working as, in part, as mental health clinicians, and without having, maybe the training or expertise, so they do get training, but emotionally taxing. Over at long-term care, another week of no positive individuals for COVID. I mean, I think that's remarkable, given, it's now like, I think the longest time we've had of no COVID in some time. They did just, the authorized boosters for individuals over 65, so, we'll see how that goes in terms of, any requirements or for individuals at the nursing home who may wish to get a booster. On May 22nd, we have Polaris Group coming to do our mock survey, which is great. So we can get prepared for our survey window. The QAPI meeting was held yesterday, and they're dealing with some of the challenges with the pharmacy who has their own staffing challenges. And finance. I'm
He's
gonna.
got nothing going
Yeah.
on. He's
He's-
putting his feet up.
He's waiting for work to be
Exactly,
done.
but, we are very excited to have Emily on board to help with the grant writing. It really is a wonderful, we have no doubt will be a wonderful asset to Rockingham County. So thank you for coming on board, and, we're so happy to have you here today. Thank you. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
All right, the only thing I have for my liaison, I know you've been very busy, Allison's been very busy, as we know. But I did find out this morning that, the second union that we were dealing with, I don't know what's their,
Engineering and maintenance,
Engineering.
Teamsters,
right, they voted
they ratified
to
yesterday.
ratify the contract, so that means both contracts that we had this year are basically complete. So I think that was a fair deal, and, I think everyone's happy. I want to thank everybody for their hard work, Jude, Allison, Chuck. That's basically what I have. So, we'll move on to the county attorney's office, continued application process for the victims crime federal grant.
I move to approve the continued application process for the Victims of Crime Federal ARPA grant and authorize the chair to sign all necessary documents as recommended by the county attorney.
Second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, on the motion, Mr. Coyle,
Yes.
Mr. Godu?
yes.
I will vote yes. Department of Corrections, and by the way, Vincent Henry has joined us on Zoom. So this is Prime Care Medical, additional mental
Not a
health
good
care
look.
profession, service proposal and use of opioid abatement funds.
He's tired.
Yes. I move to approve the Prime Care Medical Incorporated Mental Health Care Services proposal and authorize the chair to sign all necessary documents and further approve use of the opioid abatement funds as recommended by the superintendent.
Second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Mr.
I'm
Coyle?
just gonna step back, and so what we have, I know that Superintendent Henry tabled this last week in terms of use of the opioid abatement funds, and what took place and what I think we're trying to do is that the when department heads have they have either programming or a use of the funds, they're bringing it to the committee. The committee discusses that amongst, as we're in conjunction with what we've all been trying to do to put a sort of plan together for the types of qualifying events as well as an application process. And at the last opioid abatement committee meeting, the group voted to recommend this use of funds to the Board of Commissioners, just so we have and I'm just laying this out so we have a framework and also for how this is gonna be.
What does the additional mental health look like? What are they doing specifically with this prime care medical?
It's another staff member to be worked to.
An additional staff member?
Yes. Did you ask him?
I did, I just
Al,
want,
go ahead.
yeah, I just wanted to let you know that I volunteered Jessica to take minutes. So that way, you know, if there's anything comes into question, we'll have those and we can potentially post them on the website or wherever you deem necessary. So she's gonna attend those meetings and just take minutes.
Great.
That's good. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. I mean, this is like another example of like everyone working together.
And I apologize, I should have really brought that up during the liaison, because I had, last week I was at the opioid meeting along with Chuck, Allison, Jason Henry, who else?
Chris Bashaw,
Chris Bashaw.
Major Bashaw.
And of course, I didn't vote because we're gonna be as commissioners and we see everything, but you know, I'm monitoring things and watching how things are going, and I think the meeting was very well run. We've had a lot of questions that came out, but I think that we're in a good spot to utilize this money that we've got coming in, so. Jason, did you want to say anything at all on the position or?
Sure. I think with the amount of mental health acuity that we do see, this is going to be hugely helpful. It brings on another part-time person, which will make, basically we'll have some there full-time, 5 days a week, working with the mental health issues. I have well over 50% of our inmates are on some sort of psychotropic drugs. So we have a huge need for this. I would also like to say the opioid abatement committee that we have internally, I thought went very well. We've decided that there's no chair, anything along those lines. We're going to work collaboratively as a group, make formal motions. Allison was great offering up to somebody take notes because I took the last notes. And anything that comes from the group, we decided basically that we'll take a vote and we'll go to the commissioners, whether it be 4-1, 2-1, whatever. If it's in favor, we'll go to commissioners. Then you guys would decide what you want to do and ask us questions. Chuck offered up Emily, which is great, to initially start our first create a form. So anybody on campus wants to apply for the money, it'd be like hopefully a 1-pager with a narrative that's coming back to the group at some point for us to review. So I thank Chuck on goat roping her into doing that. If she doesn't know yet, well, now she knows.
No,
She knows now.
no,
So
I
that-
need public forum, yeah.
Well aware.
I don't think Emily's gonna want to come to any more meetings after today.
And lastly, we discussed was about maybe keeping this money that we have, the 15% we get, keeping it on campus because we don't know what's going to happen over the next 18 years, but possibly creating some sort of another form or a mechanism that outside agencies, if they'd like to apply, maybe we would be able to have them work with our grant writer who could help them navigate that system for the opioid abatement money of the 85%, if that's something that the commissioners were interested in, and letting her use her expertise as we move forward. So those were the things that happened at the meeting, and I too thought it went very well.
Yeah.
And lastly, there was another one pushed forward. You'll see from, I put in my notes, we did make a recommendation from the sheriff's department on a piece of equipment they're looking for, but they're going, I'm not taking the thunder, they're going through a grant first. If they get that, great. If not, but we did make a motion to move forward with that as well.
We did find that we missed the quarterly submission for that particular grant we were hoping for, so that is unfortunately not available. So with the board's with the committee's recommendation and the board's authority, we'd be looking to put out an RFP to bid on that other piece of equipment we were looking at.
And what is that piece of equipment that
You want to, Major Bashaw, you want to answer that question?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be we had previously put in a bid waiver earlier and we were looking to do a mobile drug detection. But since the bid waiver, did not pass last time with the board's approval, we had specified an amount up to that we think would be appropriate to put out an RFP for bid. To solicit bids for any of the companies that make any similar equipment.
Okay,
Makes
thank you.
sense.
Anything else on that? So we didn't take the motion there. Oh, you took the motion and we're in discussion, right?
Yeah.
So, Commissioner Godu on the motion.
Yes.
Commissioner Foil,
Yes,
I vote yes. Engineering and maintenance, Harvey's gonna be here at 9:45, so we're a little bit early.
table that.
Yeah, let's table that. We'll go to the bid waiver request for Control Technologies.
I move to approve the Control Technologies bid waiver, incorporated bid waiver request in the amount of $22,170 for building automation services at the Department of Correction for a 3-year period beginning May 1st, 2023, and authorize the chair to sign all necessary documents as recommended by the Senior Director of Facilities Planning and IT.
Second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion, Commissioner Godu?
yes,
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
I will vote yes. Light item transfer.
I move to approve a line item transfer request in the amount of $15,000 from the corrections electricity line to the corrections fuel line dated April 17th, 2023, as recommended by the Senior Director of Facilities Planning and IT.
second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Do you feel like that will be enough ultimately for the rest of the year?
It looks like it,
Okay.
yeah, unless we get an amazing cold snap and go through a ton of fuel, I think we'll be,
Well,
one
Not-
never knows, it's April. but
I know, it's,
Hopefully, yeah, it looks like we're gonna be all set.
Yeah.
Thank you.
okay,
Thanks.
any further discussion? If not on the motion, Commissioner Coyle,
yes.
Commissioner Godu?
yes,
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Human resources, the NHRS classification change.
I move to approve changing the New Hampshire Retirement Systems classification of case manager position from Group 2 to Group 1 effective April 23rd, 2023, as recommended by the Senior Director of Human Resources.
second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
And seeing
Commissioner
we
Coyle?
dealt with the union, all that. as well.
Actually,
Or do
we
you
don't
want me
really have to deal with that because it's related to just the group 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. Learn something.
How does that, did we put money in the retirement system for the Group 2 already, or? how does
It's
that
up,
work?
so what it is a person that was in the position is leaving.
Oh.
And we're going to, we're recruiting for that, and it's not necessary to have them be a correctional officer. So instead of having the Group 2 amounts going in for anybody we hire, it'll be the Group 1, so it is
Okay.
funded.
So anything that was in that line? that doesn't
Yeah,
get
so
used, it goes in.
I believe I reduced the retirement line proactively in the updated budget. If
Correct.
not, that might be a last variation. So
Okay.
it would just be a reduction if it's not there already. in
Yeah, I
the
think you
DOC
did it,
budget.
yeah.
I think I already did it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Fair enough. Any other questions? No, not on the motion, Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
yes,
I will vote yes. Department title changes.
I move to approve changing the department names of Activities to Life Enrichment and Engineering and Maintenance Services Division to Facilities Operations effective July 1st, 2023, as recommended by the Senior Director of Human Resources.
Motion's been made and second. Any discussion? Not on the motion? Oh, did you have anything?
No, I think it's straightforward.
On the motion, Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
yes,
I vote yes. Position title change.
I move to approve the changing the position title of Activities Aides to Life Enrichment Aides effective July 1st, 2023, and authorize the Senior Director of Human Resources to draft a memorandum of understanding between the county and union in order to change the recognition clause.
second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on that? If not, on motion, Commissioner Godu?
yes,
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
I vote yes. Section request 7-4 for long-term care.
I move to approve an exception request to Personnel Policy 7-4 for a long-term care services employee, MS, as recommended by Senior Director of Human Resources.
second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
I think this is just consistent what we've done in a number of occasions. We have two before us today, but I think it's just been really consistent with what we've been doing for, particularly for the last few years when we've struggled with staffing.
So on the motion, Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
I vote yes. All right, to exception request 7-4, Department of Direction.
Hammering through.
Yeah.
I move to approve an exception request to personnel policy 7-4 for a Department of Corrections employee MH as recommended by the Senior Director of Human Resources.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion here? Not on the motion, Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
I vote yes. Wellness events, smoothie bus.
I move to approve a wellness event, the smoothie bus utilizing Cigna Wellness dollars at approximate cost of $2,900 as recommended by the Senior Director of Human Resources.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah,
Ms. Coyle?
Allison, are we gonna be able to get to every, last time, it seems like everything's gonna work out well, with great. And I'm so happy to see that back because, I see, yes, everybody.
Liked
it's
it.
Huge hit, that smoothie bus, it really was.
Will it be here on Thursdays?
It will be here on,
14th of June.
the 14th and June 1st. Those are the dates. I don't know where they fall.
May 14th.
Tuesday and a Wednesday, I think.
Wednesday, Wednesday.
Around
14th is a Wednesday.
14th, wait, May
21st
14th
is
is a Sunday,
Okay.
May 14th is Sunday?
yeah.
Then she got that wrong. So I'll have to
That
go
date-
back.
Okay. with
The dates will change. Sorry, I'll find out.
But June 1st is a Thursday.
Oh.
From 11 to 4, so right
Oh,
after, you go
perfect.
right out and get
On
it.
the motion, Commissioner Coyle?
14th.
I'll talk to her about that.
Yes,
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
I vote yes. Wellness event, wellness trivia.
I move to approve a wellness trivia activity and raffle prize drawing utilizing Cigna Wellness dollars as recommended by the Senior Director of Human Resources.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? None on the motion, Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes,
I vote yes. 2023 summer discount ticket program.
I move to approve employee discounts and consignment ticket agreements for Canopy Lake Park, Funtown Splash Town, Water Country, and York's Wild Kingdom at no charge to the county for the 2023 season and authorize the Senior Director Kivakowski to sign all necessary documents as recommended by the Senior Director of Human Resources.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion?
How much of a discount our employees get on?
It depends by them. It's online, everything's online. So they used to send us tickets and we do it that way, but they do get a discount, a significant discount. So anybody can go on the website and purchase the tickets. So, yeah.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay, on the motion, Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
I vote yes. Fiscal year 2023 write-off.
I move to approve an accounts receivable write-off as recommended by the Senior Director of Human Resources and Senior Director of Finance.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Not on the motion, Commissioner Coyle?
I was just,
Your question?
no,
On the motion, Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
I vote yes. Okay, now on to long-term care, the Lamprey physician services agreement amendment.
move to approve the amendments to the Lamprey Healthcare Physician Service Agreement for two physicians, Mary Braun, MD, and Heidi Pressberg, MD, and authorize the chair to sign all necessary documents as recommended by the Senior Director of Long-Term Care Services.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Not on the motion, Commissioner Coyle?
Yes,
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
I will vote yes. Easter sales AMDC funding request.
I move to approve, full day rate of $80 up to $60 per day for transportation charges if needed, and the cost of uncompensated care between $5 and $27.66 per day for eligible Rockingham County recipients as recommended by the Senior Director of Long-Term Care Services.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on that?
Jason, do you think this will help with
I-
numbers?
It will. They've actually increased their staffing numbers, which I was really happy to hear. So they'll actually be offering adult day program for an entire day instead of just half days now. So I definitely see that their numbers will increase as time moves forward. And we do have a meeting set up with them to talk about how we can support marketing initiatives and just other resources that the county may have to support utilization for that organization.
Thanks, Jason. That's very, obviously we really need to. boost it.
Just a quick question on the numbers end of it. How does that work with the budgeted numbers? Gotcha.
I don't think we're changing, it might enable Easter Seals in this fiscal year and hopefully in the next one to spend down their allocated 20,000 of funds.
Okay,
They're one of the three, they're the one who
they don't,
submits the least percentage amount of
Okay.
what they're allotted. And sometimes funds have been reallocated away from them
okay,
in basically like the end of year, whatever's not spent, we want it to get out.
Yeah.
To those three organizations, but usually in the end, it kind of gets out, the balance gets out to like senior class and Silverthorne.
Okay.
But not necessarily Easter Seals.
so we don't have to make any increase on any budget item.
No, I think we're still holding to the 40-40-20. Is that right, Jason?
Yeah. Correct. And in fact, out of the three adult day programs, their utilization has traditionally been the lowest out of the group that we support. So I'm very anxious to see this, and we'll keep an eye moving forward as utilization increases.
Okay, great. Any further comments or discussion? If not, I'll vote Commissioner Foil.
Yes,
Commissioner Godu?
Yes,
I will vote yes. Silverthorne,
I move to approve funding of $2,500 for a replacement large capacity stacked washer and dryer to Silverthorne Adult Medical Daycare Center as recommended by the Senior Director of Long-Term Care Services.
motion's been made.
Second.
And seconded. Any discussion? If not, on the motion, Commissioner Godu?
yes,
Commissioner Foil?
Yes,
I vote yes.
we're still way on all the lines for
Yeah.
them. I mean, we're gonna be significantly,
And that's why I was mentioned that in the past times Weber's not spent after like the June submissions. Sometimes there's been a reallocation of whatever's left of the 100,000 going out to, again, usually it's been not to Easter Seals, but Silverthorne and senior class.
Okay,
So,
And I just wanted to add in senior class. We have made multiple attempts to reach out to them by email and phone call. All requests have been unanswered. So I want to follow up with that because we have been making progressive attempts to be in touch with them to be good stewards and try to support their program. But unfortunately, our requests have not been returned at this time.
okay. Keep us posted.
do you think
ever
they're,
since
Since they had
the
the
buyout,
change,
ever since
the
the merger
buyout,
ownership
yeah.
change, yeah.
but
Yes.
it's seeing that, like, I mean, again, what we've seen, and especially COVID took such a hit on, I think we lost two during two facilities, so it's concerning that.
Right. Since the senior class was purchased by Savita, and since the takeover from that program, I mean, they're still submitting. They're our most frequent active user and utilization. So I know they're still continuing to submit requests for funding, but unfortunately, we have not had any further conversation about how the county can support their daily operations any further.
On the motion, Commissioner Foil,
Yes,
Commissioner Godu?
yes,
I vote yes.
I think
All right, so now we're.
we already, that was a double vote.
Was it?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't write it down.
we did, we already voted on it.
Oh, that was Silverthorne.
That was, yeah, we did.
Okay, so did we
Okay.
do
We're-
D?
We're up to line item transfer.
Okay, all right, so let's do that.
I move to approve a line item transfer request in the amount of $617,873 from the nursing FICA line and nursing retirement line to the nursing staff line and assisted living line dated April 14th, 2023, as recommended by the Senior Director of Long-Term Care Services.
second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Reflection of how we're doing, using more outside agency contract.
Yeah. Commissioner Godu?
yes,
Commissioner Foil?
Yes.
I vote yes. All right, now with that, this was request for increase to the department proposed fiscal year 2024 budget.
I move to approve a fiscal year 2024 budget line increase for an amount of $7,000 for assisted living shirts as recommended by the Senior Director of Long-Term Care Services.
second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
No,
they need shirts,
On the motion, Commissioner Godu?
yes,
Commissioner Foil?
yes,
I vote yes. Sheriff's Office Grant Application, FEMA Port Security Grant. What is that, 1,500,000?
Commissioner?
Yes, sir.
Just before you make the motion on that, we kind of had some more discussion about this, and we would almost request that the board take it in two parts. We would look for permission to apply. But we would ask that the commissioners table the dedication of the ARPA funding for it. And the reason for that is I did have a conversation with Commissioner Coyle, and I know that the board has really been looking towards saving any ARPA funds that we may need for the building if we find some issues there. So we don't want to necessarily tie up the ARPA funding if we don't make it further down the road in the grant application process. We did apply for this vehicle last year and we didn't make it very far in the process. So we think it would be prudent to table the dedication of the ARPA funds so that in case the board determines they need it for the building, the sheriff has obviously supported the building as being the priority. But essentially, even if we don't get this even if we don't get this grant funding, we think it's a great opportunity for our new grant writer to be involved in this process, especially this is a pretty in-depth and complex one as well. So we think it would be, I hate to just give people work, but it is good practice for the grants that would negatively affect operations if we didn't get them down the road. But this is a tremendous opportunity. If we were able to get this vehicle, we would actually set it up. It would actually be a huge benefit to towns that already have their own dispatching centers, because it's not just a mobile command post. It's like an incident command post that could act as a backup dispatching center for any of our communities that have a dispatch center as well, whether that was a fire, natural disaster, malware attack where they've been locked out. This could essentially be parked in any community for an extended period of time, and we could switch over to their frequencies and allow them to maintain their own capabilities, as well as responding to any type of giant critical incident. I mean, I know across the country, we've seen train derailments. A lot of this is geared towards assistance with the Port Authority and protection of inland waterways. So if we had any type of long-term crisis that affected those waterways, this would be an incident command post that could be set up at long-term for that. But we would just ask that the board take this in two parts, if that's their desire.
Commissioner Coyle usually does the motion. so
Yeah, I'll make
George
the
needs-
motion
can do that.
accordingly.
Yeah, go right ahead.
So, my first motion is I move to authorize the application of the Federal Emergency Management Administration FEMA Port Security Grant for funding of 75% of a mobile communications and command vehicle at an estimated cost of $1.5 million.
And to authorize. the
And
chair.
authorize the chair to sign all necessary documents as recommended by the high. Thank you.
With second.
With funding,
Well, I'm just gonna make that motion. Yeah, that's my first motion.
Piece on the other side of it, but, all
trying.
right.
well,
So, did you second?
I second.
Second, okay. So on the motion, Commissioner Coyle,
yes,
Commissioner Godu,
Well, I had discussion. We didn't have any discussion
yeah.
on that.
yes,
go right ahead.
Didn't we apply for this? Wasn't this approved last year? Or is this a second grant center?
that was.
This is a different grant year. We did not get approval for it last year. We didn't make it far enough in the process to get it.
Okay, got it. Because I recall the discussion last summer
Correct,
while
Further
I was
discussion?
on Zoom.
yeah, so, obviously, let's see how the application process goes, and then we'll assess the next phase. I still have some reservations about the overall need, but I appreciate, Sheriff's Department, thank you for being so considerate about, keeping our focus towards, the goals for the building.
All right, so on the motion, there's no more discussion. Commissioner Coyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Godu,
Yes,
I will vote yes.
And I move to table authorizing utilizing $375,000 of ARPA funds, expense category 6.2 for the match. So,
Do I hear a second?
second,
Seconded. On the motion, Commissioner Coyle,
yes,
Commissioner Godu,
yes.
I vote yes. Okay. All right, so now we're at department head updates. I'm gonna allow Emily, if she wants to say something, you can say something, since you're here. And then I don't want to tie you up any longer, so if you have anything you'd like to say. go right
Yeah,
ahead.
well, thanks for having me in the meeting. I've met with some of you, and if I haven't met with you yet, I'm sure I'll meet with you soon. And it would be great to set up a meeting. I'm just looking for opportunities, I'm researching. So if you see anything I'm happy to receive it and take a look at it, but I'm also sending out opportunities that I see online. I'm also creating a network between the different counties so we can share opportunities with each other. And yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go to Jude Gates. How's that?
Good morning. I sent my briefing yesterday. Finally, I remembered to hit send.
Yes.
So there's a lot going on. We're busy. And it's all pretty much covered in the briefing.
Yeah.
I did want to say Allison's been helping me with kind of a tricky HR issue, and she's like a remarkable facilitator. I think the county is so lucky to have her in the Human Resources Department. She's like really good to watch, good to learn from. So it's been a good experience for me, even though not a great experience, but it's been a good experience working with Allison. It's been very nice. Yeah, thank you. And I'm looking forward to the presentation.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
supposed to be here at 9:45.
Yeah, I think we kind of,
Went really fast
barreled
for
through it
such a
pretty
long
quickly.
agenda, yeah.
so, okay, very good.
Thank you.
Allison,
Hi, you did not get a briefing and I do apologize,
okay.
but we've got a lot of payroll change notices flying in our offices. We're doing mailings. I'm working on the 2 CBAs. I've got one in draft form. That's over to Chuck now, just before I send it off as a draft clean copy to engineering and maintenance. I got that one done first. The sheriff supervisors is just about done. I just have a few grammatical things before I send that over to Chuck. Once I get his confirmation that everything looks right, then it will go to the 2 union agents. I do have the MOUs, I'm very happy to say, from all of the unions except for the SCA. The SCA, we'll talk about that later, but I do have those to sign. I brought them. I didn't give them to Layla because they were coming in as late as last night. So they're here for everybody to sign. And I do have, so with that going on and a couple of other issues, employee related issues and stuff, it's been super busy. And of course, you can see all of the wellness initiatives that we're trying to wrap up and get going as well. So thank you. I did let Gallagher know that the board approved all of the, health and dental and other items. They're very pleased. So again, I'm working on all of that stuff with them as well. So it's a tight timeline for us here. Thank you.
Allison, so I'll have all the, did you say everyone? is-
SEAU is not, and we'll talk about that under new business.
Okay,
It's not promising.
oh,
seriously?
Yes, no, yeah.
we'll discuss that.
Chuck and I will talk about that. Yeah. But the other ones, all 5 Teamsters, the New England Police Benevolent and the NCEU are all there for you to sign. So we can then push out those payroll change notices this afternoon to all of those departments and upload, the payroll codes. But the long-term care is just at a standstill.
Okay,
Okay, SCAU.
But, I mean, it's so great that we can, I'm so happy that we can help facilitate getting this, using the ARPA funds and making sure we come through on the. So,
So thank you.
thank you.
Dr. Dickerson.
I would say grants, budgets, CBAs,
Yeah, it's
whatever number of things, but it's very busy. Obviously, this is, since it's the month after a quarter end, it's very busy on different grant reporting. Whether it's the 15th or the 17th or the last day of the month or the 30th or whatever, there's many different grant reports have to happen. I did submit an updated in progress commissioner's proposed budget. I will have to update the department names. And obviously I'll update the one department for the change in the payroll projections as well, since that document is changed over as well, but it won't take long. So that the delegation members are not confused, I will put the new department name, but also formerly known as, or F/K/A, so that they'll know what it was and it'll be relatable to them or comparable to them. So, again, just really lots of things going on, really busy. HAC meeting tomorrow. I've got a couple proxies. So,
Very good.
Sorry.
yeah, so very busy with that because I'm treasurer for HAC
Right.
too, so.
Okay, sounds good. Layla, do you have anything you'd like to share with us?
Just,
getting ready for the mailing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh.
that was,
Oh, yeah, that's gonna be
Taking
fun.
that's the mailing of, sending all of the, budget stuff to all the delegation members. It's,
and the legal notice.
And the legal,
Yeah,
The
everything.
F-36 towns, City of Portsmouth, New Hampshire DRA, New Hampshire Secretary of State.
So who handles that?
I do.
Layla,
By hand?
Yes,
yeah,
How many on the list?
130
Oh, we should be able to automate that. We shouldn't have to do that like that.
stuff envelopes.
We'll talk.
Okay.
We'll talk. We'll see if we can come up with something that will make that go a lot easier. I think I
Gotta
might
go
be able to have
It's
some
gotta go
ideas.
tomorrow.
Oh, well, okay. I guess we're gonna talk after the meeting. Is it electronic? Do you have it in electronic format?
Well, yes, but he.
It doesn't suffice for the RSA. We actually have to have a mailing.
But if it's in electronic format, then it can go somewhere for
Processing.
automated processing.
But the mailing still has to happen.
Right,
The actual
the stuffing.
mailing, snail mail. Has
the
to
snail mail
happen.
process.
The way I heard it is-
Stuffing and the, even.
It'll still be
you know,
posted on the website,
The
obviously.
way I heard it was Commissioner Godu volunteered to help.
I'll stuff, I don't mind.
I
don't
was
mind.
thinking of trying to figure out some automated equipment that will allow, get it stuffed and addressed so that you're not standing there forever doing, that's a big mailing.
It is.
And how are you printing it?
On the.
On the local printer?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot easier ways to do that.
Sometimes we've taken over multiple printers in the past.
Yeah, I mean, if you have
Right.
access to these.
But-
thank you.
Jason,
Well,
I don't
it's
want
something
to-
to do it, but I mean,
now,
this
because
shouldn't be
I've
a
got my own
burden.
dedicated
Totally
plan.
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's, I
Right.
mean,
This should be something that,
130.
I mean, it's what I do.
right, that's it, you might have.
Not this kind of thing specifically, but I know how to make this happen so that she doesn't have to do the
We
handwork.
usually would have a
It's not
stocking party.
good use of time.
I know, it's like. it's hugely time
All right,
consuming.
I'm gonna wrap this all up. 'cause I have multiple
We have 400,
conversations, yeah.
we have
Oh.
450 mailings that are going out today.
Okay.
Yeah,
To
because of that
attention,
letter.
everybody.
Okay,
Hello.
sorry.
I have 5 different conversations and I can't understand everybody. Leila, are you finished?
I'm finished. thank
Okay.
you.
All right, let's go to the sheriff and Catherine Mann.
Good morning. Business as usual, I mean, with summer coming, we had those 80-degree days and, Hampton Beach started filling up pretty good, so we try to assist our local towns and, it's gonna be a long summer, I can tell you that. We are assisting Northampton, and a bunch of these other little police departments that are short-staffed, so we continue to work hard every day and, looking forward to a busy summer, and that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Catherine Mann, do you have anything?
No, I'm all set today. Thank you.
Okay. Jason Henry.
Morning, everybody. Couple things. Yesterday I was in Concord testifying against the warrantless arrest bill in the hospitals. That went fine. Some people were not thrilled with my testimony, but I think the point got across between the ACLU and a bunch of other people. I don't think the bill's going to go anywhere. Then I had the pleasant time of hanging out in the afternoon with a couple of nice lady senators and some other ladies in a room over the feminine hygiene stuff. I got raked over the coals, but all said and done, I think we came to some sort of compromise. If I don't have to go through that again, that'd be great. Although they're talking about now a whole thing with underwear and everything else for next year, so that'll be another lengthy process, I guess. Beyond that, yeah, no COVID at the jail, and reason I'm sitting here is I'm trying to wrap everything up as this afternoon. I head to Ireland for the next 9 days, be back May 1st, and the daughter's heading to Europe at the same time, so trying to get everything ready to go. That's it.
Well, enjoy your trip to Ireland. Let us know how you enjoy it. I haven't been, so I don't know if anyone else has. Have you been? Oh, good. Well, hope you get to enjoy some time off, Superintendent. Thanks for your hard work up at the state.
Thank you.
Jason Smith.
Good morning, Commissioners. As Commissioner Coyle mentioned, we remain COVID-free, so that's a very good thing. We will be holding another mobile clinic for vaccination on April 26th for staff and residents. Ken Wing recently achieved the distinction of Certified Dementia Practitioner, so he is registered as a CDP with the National Council of Certified Dementia Practitioners. We do have a dedicated memory care neighborhood on our campus, and so it is just really nice to have somebody with that credential that can really help and assist family members and education and staff through the dementia process. We're looking forward to our mock survey with Polaris Group on May 22nd. They'll be here for 4 days. 3 days will be focused on the mock survey, and 1 day will be focused on infection prevention. In addition to that, we had our Quality Assurance Performance Improvement Committee meeting, also known as QAPI. That is a federal mandate that is required to be held minimally every quarter. It is a very lengthy, long meeting, but we go over many different quality initiatives. I provided that in the packet that was sent to Layla that should have been dispersed to all of you. That presentation goes to a deep dive level of all of the good work that we're doing here in long-term care, goes over our process improvement, PIPs that we're working on, are the projects, talent solutions, which human resources partners with us on, falls reduction, resident participation in activities, infection control, UTI reduction, and nursing department focuses on many different items such as skin and wound integrity, pressure ulcers, antipsychotic drug medication reduction program. But I'm also really pleased to announce that we are officially alarm free. When I first came to this community, we had residents that were on tab alarms, that had sensors in their rooms. So every time when a resident moved, you would hear buzzing going off. There's a lot of national research that shows that alarms do not prevent falls. They tell you that somebody has fallen. And in fact, there is a debate that alarms are actually a restraint. And so I'm actually very pleased to announce that we are 100% alarm-free community. That's a big undertaking. A lot of education has had to be done with the residents, the staff, and their family members. Since that, we've actually seen no increase with falls. In fact, we've actually seen a decrease with falls. So that just shows that we have seen significant quality improvement through these PIPs, and we continue to focus on those initiatives. Other than that, we also, which I'm also excited to announce, that our dental services, which is a requirement under the federal guidance, we have 100% our medical dental records will be on our PCC system. So staff does not have to scan the record into our EMR system any longer. The physician will actually be able just to input everything right into our EMR, so it'll be live, so staff can see and progress notes right then and there. So a lot of good work that Bridget has been working on with the dentist and with the clinical staff to make sure that the process goes smoothly. As Commissioner Coyle also mentioned, we have had and continue to have ongoing pharmacy issues with PharmAmerica. We have met with them just to identify that the issues continue to happen. So that's a work in progress with them, but I will continue to keep the commissioners updated. And then finally, I have a meeting next week to meet with Emily, the grant writer. And so I look forward to partnering with her and really kind of figuring out how we can utilize the grant writer to support operations and also resident engagement. Thank you.
You're good. Thanks, Jason. All right. So I was remiss forgot to mention that Kathy Stacy had emailed, I think she emailed all the commissioners that she wouldn't be at the meeting because she was at a health trust meeting. I should have stated that earlier on, but I think we're all set with department heads. We just want to wait for the,
I should have mentioned I'm on vacation next week as well. Getting my
You too, Allison?
daughter married off at the end of next week.
She's getting her daughter
so-
married.
Yeah.
I'm
What
just
about-
going somewhere with my son, he's
Department
a
heads
teacher.
going on vacation?
Yeah, she wanted to go somewhere with me.
And I'll be on here.
Wow.
Gonna be lovely next week.
I'll be here on Thursday.
Hold the fort.
I need a vacation.
We didn't ask that question.
I'll be here on Thursday and Friday.
Okay, so do we want to go back to the commercial dishwasher, or do we want to wait for that? So after that,
We are still Elaine is reviewing the 4 bids that we just received this morning at 8:35 when they were released to us. So we are compiling information from the 4 quotes that I quickly looked at. There are 2 quotes that are within a ballpark pricing figure, and the other 2 are much higher so far. But we are looking at every spec to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples. So that I just need more time to review this before I make a recommendation.
No problem. So we'll keep that table for now.
Thank you, commissioners.
We're gonna go to public comment, and I do see somebody, Caroline.
Wait, you have new business, old business first.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
So there-
New business, old business. Anyone have any new business?
And I do a quick.
Allison.
Oh, no, sure.
You go.
Okay, for the Q3 review that's coming up, the previous board approved in June 2024 the LNAs that were in grade 5 and MNAs in grade 6 under the assisted living. They both became the same position, personal care partners. The 2 MNA employees were grandfathered with the temporary title of personal care partners -MNA until the position could be moved to the same grade level. There's no wage adjustments that are being proposed, but we need to bring it to the delegation at the first quarter because it was overlooked. And so I brought the 2 forms that you just have to sign. And it attaches the job description. And also there was a memo from the board on this, and I think Julie kept it behind, but I apologize. There was a memo that went with it, and I think Julie kept it behind, but it is the board minutes that go with this. So I just would need that signed so Julie can make the copies for the board packet for the actual, for you, for Cheryl for Q3.
Right.
So I had that. And the other thing was, I don't know if you want to discuss what's going on with the SEAU as far as the executed asking for the MOU for the ARPA funds.
I can only imagine, but
So I have some emails back and forth that I'll show you. Chuck can talk a little bit about it as well. But basically, we've tried to explain it to him a couple different ways. And this goes to Commissioner Turcello. I kind of started it off on the 18th, letting him know that I attached an MOU. Actually, on the 17th, on the 17th of April, I sent him a memo letting him know what was happening with the American Rescue Plan Act, trying to talk to him about what had happened and occurred. I sent it to him and their legal attorney there. On the 18th, I attached the MOU. He hit me back and had a bunch of questions, which Chuck and I talked through, and then I identified the responses to those questions. And then last night, I got another one basically telling me that it's really changed. And he wants me to, basically wants the county to specifically say that nobody will be left out that was in the previous 2 MOUs, but we can't affirm that because they have to work so many hours within the pay periods or that period of time in order to qualify. And we cannot go beyond the $13 per hour threshold. And Chuck can talk a little bit more about that.
So basically with his, you see on the first page, I guess he's got his last response. And the qualification for hours worked in the prior pay period was when it was a weekly stipend. That's how we first started off with this group.
Yeah.
And with correctional officers, that it was based on, you had to have hours worked in the prior work week, actually the work weeks, because it was a weekly stipend. Because they added stipend can only be for services performed on site. So unfortunately, if you were out on leave or something like that, those hours could not count. And so with premium pay, one of the things that's a requirement is that whatever you do give, whether it's directly weekly in their base or as the lump sum stipend, whatever period of time you're saying it covers, it cannot exceed the equivalent of $13 per hour. Now, so really the concern would be really on any new hires, part-time new hires, in fact. And since the stipend in this case for long-term care and correctional officers is $750, there's a higher hours threshold to meet. Now, obviously, if you're saying hours worked, as far as paid periods that started December 18th to April eighth, generally speaking, unless you're a new hire and a part-time one at that, you're not gonna have a problem even hitting the 58 hours. That's the equivalent of taking 750 divided by the $13 per hour, rounding up to the whole hour. So they just have to meet 58 hours over the course of several pay periods. The only concern might have been if there was a weekender, let's say, that was hired and only worked one pay period. Because they might not have worked that Sunday into Monday initially, they might have been that Friday into Saturday instead and only had about 36 hours. So in that case, they would have gotten what we're suggesting in the MOU, a prorated stipend on the 750. There were no new hire weekenders and that was like a higher date of March 27th.
Right.
There is, I didn't look at it, but there may be a concern if there was someone who previously got, say, the stipend in January, but now they've been out on leave, some sort of paid or unpaid leave, but they don't have hours on site for this whole range of time. So we can't just outright say or guarantee that whoever got it before is gonna get this time, because you have to follow the federal rules.
Right.
I mean, you can't.
We don't
break
have
the law.
we don't have any
So that's-
leeway. It's federal law, it's
Yeah,
federal rules.
it's their rules.
And I did copy Gary Schneider because he is the legal attorney up there, one of the legal attorneys on my communication, but I'm getting the communication from Sean. But this is typical of trying to work through something with them, because he also said he would have to take it to the membership for a vote. So
It's time sensitive.
I explained that to him and said that it needed to be paid out in the March
April
28th,
28th,
excuse me,
yeah.
April 28th pay date, but it's always a back and forth. So I am going away tomorrow. What I can do is try to initiate a call with Chuck and Julie, the HR manager, to kind of work through something if we can. But I don't think this will happen quickly. This will, like the other one, when we tried to give them
Yeah,
the
this is
bonus,
Unfortunate.
this could be a couple of months. So I wanted to relay this to you because I don't know how that constricts with some guidelines on paying out because
Well,
we're not
so
pay.
The other one that you're referencing, we had more control over how things would happen or more options. This one, the way I see
don't
it,
feel we
we
have
don't
it.
have any options.
And the longer the payment goes out, the more it could potentially be scrutinized by US Treasury.
Yeah,
Or
but
by single auditors.
Yeah, I'm not
So
dealing with that.
that's, I mean, by the letter of it, we're still following it saying that's for services
Right.
performed on site through April 8th, which is before April 10th. But again, it starts not looking as good if you're getting something in June, let's say, that's for services all the way back
To
to the period
April.
ending April 8th.
January to April.
Commissioner Godu?
I'd like to understand what the consequences are for the county if we do not fulfill this premium pay stipend.
Well, while we had a previously fully executed MOU, the federal government has changed how the payment of the ARPA funds is. So I believe it defers to federal over the union.
The law is a law, so if you
Yeah.
can't do something from an MOU that's now illegal,
Yeah.
that piece of it,
Mhm.
then you have to follow the law.
Right.
And we need their approval to do this?
For any monies, it's working conditions and money. So any financial or working conditions, this is money. So what we're saying is they have an MOU, an effective MOU on, fully executed, where they're saying you owe us this in July, and we're saying now we can't because of the change. So we have to re-engage in an amended MOU for what was July. We're saying it's now gonna be April.
I would suggest that we move this topic to non-public to strike or to discuss a path moving forward as it would potentially render an action ineffective to continue to discuss this in public at this time.
We can do that.
I agree.
Thank you.
Okay, what else do we have on the new business? Go ahead, Catherine.
Yes, so the first thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is there's some members of the press who've been reaching out about the opioid abatement opioid abatement funds to me. I don't know if you guys, or to us in general. And I would just suggest that maybe we craft a press release collectively.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys feel about it. felt somewhat reluctant, or not reluctant, but I didn't want to speak. Just reach out back to them and speak individually. I thought since we are a board of three and not an individual, how do you
I
guys
think that's a great idea.
feel about it?
Would you be willing to craft it? and then just
Absolutely.
Show us. and then
Yeah,
we
I
sign off?
can, no problem at all crafting
And
that.
thank you for considering us. Well, that's a good point.
And so that we can move forward with that and talk about how we have our committee meeting, how, some of those details of our strategy with a focus on mental health and also using.
Do you have a problem with that at all?
No.
All right, let's do that then.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Coleman. Any other new business? All right, so, any old business? That we can bring up? I don't think so. All right, now we're into public comment. I do see Caroline. Borough.
Carolyn Lawrence Street. one
Yeah.
of the,
Okay,
um,
okay, I
architects
just
from
wanted to
Lawrence
make
Street.
sure, because I didn't recognize her, but, is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak? I don't see anybody, so we'll move on from that. Okay, so we're,
Do you want to take a recess for?
let's take a,
We have
yeah, let's take
non-public
a,
today?
We do have a number of non-public, but I wanted to,
we can take them after, if it's gonna be lengthy, what do you, how long is it gonna take out?
Well, let's try to do the time that we have available.
I'm with you. Let's see, who many people, so we don't have too many for the purposes of the present.
Mine's short.
Yes, so, why don't we, I think that's sensible, let's move into non-public pursuant to 91A:3 personnel matters, and I invite Superintendent Henry and Allison to the dais.
The motion's been made to go into non-public,
Second.
seconded, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're gonna go into non-public, and before we do that, we're just gonna take a couple minutes recess before we begin, so literally. 2.
Caroline, could you try logging in
All
again?
right, thanks, Emily, for coming
I
down.
have to- Unfortunately,
Thank you.
we're going into non-public. Join us at 9:45.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Am I needed, Leila? I'm sorry, I had to get clarification on a call with the dishwashers. Do I need to go?
No, no, you're all set.
No, Jason, you're after, I think, Jason Henry or whoever.
Okay, all right, I'm logging.
Oh, I was going to, you want to do that now, because don't we have other okay.
We're out of non-public, right?
Right, so I thought we were gonna do that all at the end, but I will be happy to make one. I move to seal, the first item of non-public indefinitely.
Right.
Because it, affects the reputation of a member, not, a member of, other than this board. I move to
thank you.
seal, the second item, until July 1st, 2023, because a, can render a proposed action ineffective. And I move to seal the third item indefinitely, again, because it could affect adversely the reputation of any.
Motion's been made, seconded, roll call, Mr. Foil,
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. So those are effective. Okay. Welcome, everybody.
See you again.
Help yourself to a seat. If you'd like a seat here and get some muffins and some coffee if anyone wants any.
Hi, I'm Martino.
Morning. How you doing?
Is there anything after this? Well, is there anything after this? Is there anything after this?
I know.
Yes.
That's it. Cover this one. Shut off.
By all means.
What? Is there nothing?
How you doing? Good morning, Ryan. Nice to see you.
Anything?
You know, I can move down, make my.
I feel like I'm.
This is. Yes, there's coffee, water, please.
All good stuff.
That would make.
We gotta do mine.
What's a?
I'll start drinking.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, so many. No, it's gonna be down here. Right here.
Yep, no, I'm gonna
Something.
see the other side. Next to they be more engaged with.
Wanna sit with your team?
Sure.
Maybe?
Yeah, I just wanted to.
Yeah.
More accessible. No, no.
Go ahead.
He warmed it up for you.
Great.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I'm just gonna go around the room because we're actually filming.
Okay.
And we're recording, so I'm just gonna go around the room and just, you want to just go around the room and just introduce yourself? And who you represent, that'll be great.
Jonathan Howard, Warren the Architects.
Jude Gates, Rockingham County Engineering and Maintenance.
Allison Kibakowski, the Human Resources Director.
Andrew Martino, Harvey Construction.
Bill Stevens, President, Harvey Construction.
Mark McLaughlin, estimating Harvey Construction.
I'm Brian Cherichello, one of the commissioners.
Stephen Godu, Commissioner.
Kate Coyle, also third commissioner.
Layla Matilla, Executive Assistant to the Commissioners.
Chuck Nickerson, Senior Director of Finance.
Okay.
Great.
So Jude, do you want to start or does Jonathan want to start the presentation or?
I think we can hand it right off to Mark. I mean, we've
Okay, let's go
been,
with Mark then.
Okay, well, as you know, we sent out, yesterday, we sent out a summary sheet. Today we have some backup information in terms of some detail on the overall budget. We prepared the overall budget and, fortunately, we're coming in under the budget that we had done in the, September of 2022. And that is, there was a few things added to the scope of the project. Since then, the well work is not part of our work in 2022, but we'll incorporate that. The generators were made a little bit bigger, based on some comments from the facilities people here, so then we'll incorporate that into the number. We got very good participation from subcontractors. That's good. Very good. It's an attractive job. It's in a good geographical location. A lot of firms in southern New Hampshire, working in eastern Mass, and so they're always love to work in southern New Hampshire. So we have great participation. We have good pricing. We had good dialogue with the design team, and we're able to, present you what we think is a good news, that we're not over budget. And we have basically got the whole package as designed. So there's no, we're not coming and saying we need to sacrifice something in order to get to a number. So in this day and age, with the escalating prices and the difficulties we all have, as you all know, we consider it good news. If you like, we can go through some of the detail.
Yes, please do. Well, let me just first say that, we were asked to wait a couple of weeks and it would benefit us. And it sure looks like it did, so we were very happy that was the case.
Yeah, thank you very much
And
for
just how, you're estimating, I think Commissioner Chiricello and I have been sort of working through this since we both started on the commission in January of 21. And I just can't believe from the start where we are in terms of our numbers, given all of the inflationary concerns, as well as, going through COVID, as I've seen personally, like doing residential building in conjunction with in the cost of subcontractor work and things like that. So, when I saw that you guys came in under budget, I was floored, I have to say, in a good way. I couldn't believe that, how on point you were from the time. So thank you to everybody for all your efforts. It's exciting, and I just can't believe that the, sort of constraints and, a little bit of spokes creep, which is natural
Yes.
within
Yes.
this process that we ended up where we were. So
Good, thank you for that.
Yeah, so, well, if you wanna start with some of the details, it'd be fine if you. I don't know how we wanna do, you wanna go line by line, or?
I personally, I just soon start at the top and discuss each item.
Okay,
Okay.
on the budget.
okay, so we have, some. So what I have, yesterday I sent you the summary sheet, so this is the summary sheet with the detailed background. So I think it's,
We have 8 copies, so hopefully that's enough.
We can,
Yeah,
I'm
we
also
can
Should we
share.
get this
totally,
electronically?
no, I just give them a check.
yeah,
Email.
But we can certainly,
so, you know, we have the general conditions, which pretty much open the projecting a 24-month project. And that's been, falling in line, the general requirements, has pretty much fallen in line. So we have, a winter conditions allowance, which is for, winter heat and operations during the winter. So the project is slated to go through 2 winters, we'll just start this summer. So we're covering the 2 winters, which the first winter we look at probably concrete and masonry, that would be pumping and heating for, and the second winter would be heating buildings. So the existing, for the final HVAC systems would not be up and running, by October of 24. So, we have, you know, the concrete foundation work, which we have a very good firm, that we're talking to, and we think, has the horsepower to really keep the schedule moving forward, which is critical.
Has concrete gone up cost
The
wise,
cost of material,
cost of materials?
it's been escalating over the last couple of years, yeah.
Well, from the numbers that you gave me in, February.
Yeah.
This is up 1.3 million.
Well, as I often say to people, when we look at the numbers on these estimates, we look at the bottom line. So you're gonna, as you look internally in the estimate, you're gonna see some trades went up and some trades went down. So it's a balance. We don't guarantee a line item, we guarantee a bottom line.
Just more of a comment, because you're right, I mean, overall, you're down $265,000 from where we were.
Yeah.
Where our estimate was.
Right.
Back in February.
Right. So. Yeah, and that's basically street conditions. I mean, we estimated a lot of work, and when we go up the pricing.
You get the real numbers.
We get real numbers, so you're gonna see some ups and some downs,
well, must be a difficult time to do estimation work only because of, like, again, like fuel costs drive so much of, you know, for concrete, for instance, trucking costs have changed
well, yeah,
significantly.
it's a difficult time. I mean, I'm old enough to have done estimating back in the early 80s when we had raging inflation. Very bad market, so I always felt blessed when we had stable prices from the early 90s to about 2 years ago. And it was a much different marketplace. A lot of people didn't realize that prices can go up, and we're back into an inflationary period, so it is definitely difficult to hold prices.
So the contractors will hold these prices through the construction process?
So we will hire a subcontractor for a defined scope and a defined value. There's going to be changes, right, up or down or escalation, but within the guaranteed maximum price, we also have a CM contingency to accommodate for those types of things, and we also have an escalation allowance within the contract. And we'll manage that on the county's behalf during the job. We'll identify where that money is spent. You guys will be part of that process. But that's to protect the total guarantee, as Mark said. So we're guaranteeing that bottom line and how those dollars are gonna be allocated throughout the course of construction. It's really hard to put a pinpoint on it, like fuel costs for the winter of 24. What's a gallon gonna cost? I mean, we're throwing a dart at it, to be honest with you, but it's an educated dart, right? Because we've gone through it. We know size of the building. We've got a lot of information from our history. But we still have that bucket of money to allocate towards the ups and downs, as, you know, how much is gonna snow the next 2 winters.
Right.
You know, you're gonna have to shovel off the roof, the floor decks, or, you know, so there's a lot of factors that are just a target. And then we do have that allocated money to address those ups and downs. That is fully disclosed during the course of construction, so.
And in our experience over the last couple of years dealing with subcontractors and escalation, we try to be fair. I mean, if something happens and a price goes up on something, we try to be fair, but we're not pushovers. I mean, we don't, someone can't just come and say, hey, our price is gone up. There's gotta be a definitive reason why we're gonna go up. So we try to manage the budget. It's not our goal but what you see is we're ready to contract with these subs, sign contracts, sign purchase orders, lock them in. And then, you know, we live in a volatile world and dynamic environment. If something happens, we're reasonable people. We're not looking to put people out of business. But we want to be fair to the owner. We want to be fair to the subs. But generally speaking, I mean, we over the last couple of years, we haven't had projects where, you know, we give a guaranteed maximum price and then we're coming back and saying, oh, it's not good. I mean, our numbers work. So again, you got the detail estimate here on the foundations, the masonry. We got good participation on the masonry. You know, it's a detailed building, a lot of brick, a lot of stone, detail entry, a lot of granite. So, and you can see that we carry some tenting money because we figure we're going to be doing the masonry in the winter, so we're going to tent for the winter, so we can keep progress going, and that so this is the tenting.
I haven't looked at it,
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the detail that backs up.
Well, it's,
the summary.
we appreciate this because on the side note, obviously, you know, we're using a lot of ARPA funds. And so we have, you know, the timing for us is really mission critical. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's worth it that, I mean, you know, working through New Hampshire winters, mostly you're on, like, often in the building world, you're on.
We do not have
hold.
an off season
Yeah,
anymore.
exactly. I know, well, and particularly the off season isn't an option for us here. So we appreciate that this is all factored in so that we can
Sure.
keep moving forward.
Correct, yeah.
And we're certainly aware of the ARPA funding and aware of the deadline, so we're pushing to, you know, take advantage of the good building weather we see out there. Again, so that's the concrete, and the masonry, the steel, again, we got very good participation, we got good pricing, on the structural steel. We have good pricing on the miscellaneous iron, which is all the stairs and the railings and, all that stuff. Going to, in this iron, we have, you know, some in division rough carpentry, we have a lot of our safety and railings and temporary protection. We have, architectural millwork, and you're gonna see this in some of the trades. Where the breakdown for ARPA is in some of these line items, not every line item, because what we did is we asked for the breakdown for all the trades. Some of the subs did not give us the breakdown yet. We will get the breakdown. So we'll be able to identify what the value for each of the areas that are funded by ARPA. And we should be able to wrap that up fairly shortly, but so that's why you see on millwork, you see it has all the different areas of the building. And we'll do that for all the trades that are affected by each of the sections. The thermal and moisture is the damp proofing, the waterproofing, the insulation, the air vapor barrier. There's a large metal roof on the building. There's insulated metal panel up on the fourth floor, and the back side of the building over the low roof is insulated metal panel, which absolutely makes sense because if you were to put brick there, you have to support it with steel because it's over the low roof. We have the courtyard has a heated paver system up on the third floor deck so that you know, you don't have to send someone up there with a shovel every time it snows. We have fire stopping, which is fairly, it's just required. You have to fire stop all the penetration through walls. We've got spray on fireproofing, so the steel here is all, protected. The caulking, expansion control joints. Doors, frames and hardware is Division 8. So this kind of melds into the doors, frames and hardware and access control.
Let me just stop you right
Yeah.
there. Your estimate previous to this was a lot lower for thermal moisture, just the process of,
No question. It's one of the trades that things went this way.
okay,
Because
because it's almost $2 million more than what you
No,
had estimated before.
completely aware of that. I was not happy about that piece of the puzzle, but,
But you got bids and.
oh yeah, we got
Way it
bids and it's the marketplace. It's a complex roof and, if you look at the complexity in a roof, it's complex and, I would love to have not had that trade go that way, but it's the one trade that I think does stick out like a sore thumb to me because, it went the other way. A lot of these trades went down, but that one went up. And I would love to tell you that I can get it down, but I think it is what it is because it is a busy roof. And we have a crackerjack roofer, that we're carrying right now, who can handle this. And the other thing we're sensitive to is making sure that when we talk about subs, that, the people we're talking to have the horsepower to get this thing done. That we don't end up with someone who's got a great price, but he's got 3 men and can't keep up with the schedule. So but in terms of the roof, yeah, I agree with you. It's
So is this mostly the roof that was?
the only trade that I saw that went
That went,
up
yeah,
way high. Everything else was fairly close to where it was.
right,
But the roof was underestimated, to be blunt, I mean, we were low on it. Maybe
What's that?
too optimistic would be the term. Doors, frames and hardware, again, here we've got good pricing, multiple vendors pricing us. Same thing with glass and glazing. We have multiple vendors pricing us. We got good participation. We've got a really nice glass system here. You've got triple glazing on all the windows, which will definitely help in your air conditioning and heating costs. We've got some plaster on the interior walls of corrections. This is specifically in the dorm rooms, just to make it feel a little less institutional. Metal stud drywall, again, we have very good participation, and we feel good about the participation we got. Beautiful tile ceilings, again, great participation, coming close to the budget. Flooring and tiles, again, we had very good participation. Again, the geographic location of this site is very attractive for most Southern Indiana. Painting, same thing, we got great participation, we got a good price there. The specialties, again, it's pretty much straightforward stuff, it's the display boards, the toilet petitions. Point guards and, I'd like to see out in these halls, you've got some stainless steel, bumper rails, so we had some of those in the project as well. The access flooring for the dispatch center, the flag poles, the signage package, the lockers, fire extinguishers, mailboxes, and a mobile storage device, which is a high density storage without filling the sheriff's office. And we go to division 11, which is dock levelers, projection screens, safety netting at the courtyard. That is the section of the courtyard in the corrections area that doesn't have a roof on it, so there the plans call for safety netting. So that's what that is. Blinds and shades. This is all throughout the building. We have motorized shade at the auditorium, just because it's gonna be very hard for someone to reach the shade thing, and it's also someone's giving a lecture or something that can just push a button and shake it from down. Fixed audience seating, good pricing there. The solar farm is incorporated in our overall number here.
I have a question on that. Did you bid out the solar farm?
We participated in helping out the county with the solar farm pricing. I didn't personally look at the bids on that. Carl Dubois, who recently retired from our firm, was working on that section.
I had somebody ask me about competitive bidding on this particular project, and I can't find anyone who has checked the price to be sure that we're getting a good price on the solar farm.
Commissioner, I could speak to that because I did meet with a state rep who worked at Revision and actually ran calculations for kilowatt per hour to run an actual dollar figure for each kilowatt for the solar project. And it was it ends up calculating out to $2.33 per kilowatt. And that is consistent with rates. I asked him if he thought that this was fair and given, you know, all the constraints. It used to be like, you know, 5 years ago, I think closer to $2, obviously. It's gone, you know, natural inflationary costs, the costs that we're seeing everywhere. I think this building 5 years ago, when it was, we were talking about the price, it was a fair amount lower. We probably should have started then, but here we are, and we're not, unfortunately, you know, waiting another 5 years would have the same concerns, but he ran all the calculations for me, and we sat in at $2.33, that was competitive. So,
So that's we don't have any other evaluation of
do you want
the
me?
equipment costs or construction,
I have not
installation.
analyzed it in depth. I would say a couple things. One is most of the other solar vendors that handle the project the size would be in Massachusetts, and we do have a vendor located Rockingham County farm doing the work. It's again, it's part of the overall package. I have not scrutinized that number because it was kind of given to me as a carry. So I've been carrying it,
Well, we are contracted with Revision. They have proceeded with the project also.
So another thing that I noted is that you're $100,000 less than what you were in February
on solar. Well, that may be,
Is that a typo?
no, I think it's me trying to guess we have to connect to Eversource's grid. And we don't, and Eversource, as you probably know, is not exactly overly forthcoming in getting us numbers. So I have rounded the number down to 300,000 to connect to that grid from a 400,000.
Okay.
In my conversations with the people who know the local grid, they tell me that the wires in the street are capable of handling the 4 meg that we're gonna add to it.
Yeah.
But what I don't know is the people who on Eversource are dealing with this are in Connecticut. And then they work on their own pace.
I can attest to that, because I have a call in holding a report that we.
I
But
can
I-
tell you that the infrastructure has been upgraded by Eversource in the last 3 or 4 years. They put a new station in Brentwood, and all the wires coming in from both directions were upgraded.
Perfect.
So good, that's good. So maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised by a lower fee on that. Underneath that, we have the antenna, which I think I'm probably a little rich here. I have been working very hard trying to get hard numbers from the
Antenna? Well, I'm losing it.
right below solar.
13,210.
Yeah, that's so we can get channel 38 tomorrow.
It's within Division 13.
It's right here.
Oh, it's within the,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, yeah,
okay. I'm sorry, it's in the detail.
So on that one, I've worked very hard to try to work numbers. I literally got a number last night from my antenna guy, what we're talking to him for months, literally months. I think I'm a little rich there, but I need to vet that out a little bit. I've called it an allowance for now. The money goes back to you guys.
Yeah.
If it comes in less, which I anticipate it will.
And what is the antenna for?
Probably the sheriff.
Sheriff's
It's,
dispatch.
it's the state police and the sheriff's department have antennas, and from what I understand, the building that we are putting up is gonna block the view of the existing antenna that you have today. And therefore, we need to be at 85 feet above ground to put the new antenna up.
So is this going on the roof?
It is. It is, yes. So there's a multitude of antennas on that tower. So you've got state police, sheriffs, and Seaboard. And from my understanding, the new building will block the paths. I guess they have to be a direct line of sight to wherever they're talking. And this new building is in the line of sight. So we have a number there. The other part of the puzzle there is, we have to be very conscious of our grounding situation because that antenna is potentially going to get hit by lightning. And so we have to do a complete, grounding system around the base of the building. So if it does get hit by lightning, the discharge goes into the ground and not into the building. So that part of that antenna number there is for the grounding system. So it's a very intense grounding system that has to be part of this. And so like I said, I think I've been working a lot on the antenna. It's a small part of the project, but I've been working a lot on it mainly because I know that, you know, it's gonna stick up in the air. It's more than likely hit by lightning, and it's got to be properly founded.
And have we considered a separate tower?
That's a design issue. I
Yeah,
mean,
we did.
I'm,
It was cheaper, much cheaper to put it
On the roof?
yeah, so, yeah, I'm,
We'll put your office on the other side of that.
yeah, I'm not the designer, so I can only comment on what I'm pricing what's on the documents. The elevators, we have, two elevators, one goes up to the mechanical room up on the 4th level, and one goes only to the 3rd floor. And we have a Lula lift that goes down to the, gives handicap accessibility to the lower level of the auditorium.
So obviously it's ADA.
It's ADA compliant, yes. Sprinkler systems, again, this sub did break everything out by area, so that's why you see so many line items there. So we have a wet sprinkler system for most of the buildings, and in the courtyard, in the corrections area, we have a dry sprinkler system, and in the garage, the back, we have a dry sprinkler system.
Garage to sprinkler. Sounds like an oxymoron.
It says, please go out fire.
It's a chemical based instead of water.
Oh, okay.
It's like a,
Yeah,
like a
so
fire
it doesn't-
extinguisher.
Not subject to freezing.
Yeah.
It's important in places where you,
Yeah.
like for
Get cold.
records or, yeah,
Yeah.
or get, yeah.
Or get
cold.
cold.
Yeah, exactly. Freezing.
And then we have a clean agent fire extinguisher system in the vault in Leeds because the Leeds vault is holding a lot of old documents. So we don't want a wet sprinkler system in there. So if there's a fire in there, this will put the fire out, but it won't pump a ton of water onto the documents. So that's
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, so that is the important thing to make sure we don't damage any of the document. Plumbing and HVAC, again, we got very good got very good participation in the mechanical trades. And so we have good pricing there. Electrical, again, we have good participation in that trade, and we got some really good pricing there.
You're $1 million less than that. What'd you do?
Lord. We did, as we said, we're gonna balance off Mr. Rupert. And, yes, we overestimated electrical.
That's why they call it estimates.
It's an estimate, yeah.
like I said, electrical, we have good numbers, and again, here we have the utility company back charge. This is specifically for the connection of the building itself to the grid. Again, this is Eversource, and we're gonna talk to Eversource. Site work, we got great participation, and we have some good numbers that are and here, this is one of the trades that we where the well house was added to our scope. So that added some money, but we were able to incorporate it because of the good pricing we got overall. So
that wasn't originally part of the plan.
that wasn't part, when I budgeted the project in September of 22, the well was not in the plan because I think it was discovered that the existing well number 3 was within, the new building was within 500 feet or something of the well, and so it couldn't be used as a public well. So it pushed the project into having to drill a new well. And so that was added. So we were able to incorporate that into the overall scope.
Wasn't originally considered.
Yeah, it wasn't picked up until, the building was moving around a little bit on the site. So once it was finally located, it was like, okay, look, the well is too close. And,
It's 1.3 million like that.
yeah.
But also these are things that were gonna come down the pipeline for the county anyway, so by doing these, it's like we're preemptively striking on other issues too, and,
Yes.
but it's getting baked into your
It is.
budget.
It's a necessary thing
Yeah.
because of the proximity of the paved area for the new building to the existing one. So it had to be done.
This lightweight fill, is that special material?
Yes,
The glass.
as we talked about last time, the siting of the building, curiously enough, is where the ocean used to be. The ocean used to come up right to that field over there. So there's a deposit of clay underneath the ground. And so part of the program has us removing a portion of the clay, I'm gonna say down to like 4 or 5 feet down below our bottom of footings. And the concept here is the clay weighs a lot. We're gonna remove the clay to relieve the weight of the new building that we're gonna put on top of it. And we're coming in with this lightweight fill. The lightweight fill is a glass product that is made from crushed glass that they mix with resin. And it's part of the geotechnical world that, it's complicated. I mean, we do a lot of complex geotechnical work. We do a lot of steel piles, rammed aggregate piers, and now lightweight fill. So we looked at preloading the site, if you could preload the site and have, let's say, you could actually pile up about 5 feet of earth over a good portion of the site and let it sit for about 6 months. But the problem was the environmental permits that would have allowed us to do that would not allow us to touch the site for the last, for this period of time where we had done this. And so, and then we looked at doing wick drains, which is where they drive in these pipes and they actually exhaust, they take the water out of the clay and the water comes up to the surface and it drains out of the clay and removes wood. The problem with the wick drains is that the water that would come out of the ground would seep into the wells. Contaminate your wells.
Yeah.
So we couldn't do the wick drains, we couldn't do the surcharge. So we ended up with the lightweight fill.
Yeah.
So the lightweight fill is a complex thing to manage. What we've done is, we carried some money for the geotechnical engineer to be here and watch over the lightweight fill operation to make sure everything is kosher and do it's done properly. But it is an expensive portion of the job. I mean, I think in my previous budget, I budgeted something on the order of 1.4 million for lightweight fill. And it's incorporated into our number. What you see there is we threw another 100,000 over the top, on top of what the sub is carrying, because if it impacts a little bit more than we anticipate, we want to have a pool of money that we can pay for it and not come back to you and say, oh, we need another 5,000. And so create a bubble. There's no point to it. We can incorporate it in our budget. If you don't spend it, it goes back to you anyway. But think it's the right thing to do.
Well, usually we're in New Hampshire, so usually you're blasting or drilling because you're hitting ledge.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
we're just like transferring the cost to
Yeah.
Something else.
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah, right.
In New England, it depends, all the great sites have already been built up. So
Right.
rock
All
or-
you're
or
doing
wet.
ledge. Yeah,
That's the only thing that's
exactly.
left. So again, site work, we got great pricing, we got a little bit of money for transformer pads, and gas tanks that service the building on the ground, so we got a little bit of money for hold down pads there. The generator enclosure, the generators are fenced off, and then site furnishings, there's some cables and waste baskets and that kind of thing that are sprinkled around the buildings. If people want to go out and have lunch or something, they can sit outside. Irrigation system and landscaping, are there, and, there's a little rain garden out by the, well house that, we picked up, sewer force main work, this is, incorporated in our number, which is some sewer force mains that have been in the program since day one to upgrade them, based on their age and, need to be upgraded. And then we have a primary electrical concrete encasement, which is basically just good practice when you're putting in all this heavy electrical, you want to put it in concrete, so down the road, somebody thought they were backhoe, and they hit it, they're not hitting a 35 kV line, they're hitting a piece of concrete that will cover and stuff there. And then on the bottom line, you've got, you know, the performance and payment bond for us, the builder's risk insurance, the GML liability insurance, the building permit, which is from the state fire marshal's office. We have a testing allowance of 150K. And this is what Bill was talking about. The next two line items are the contingency of 1.5 million and an escalation of 1 million. So we would not necessarily be, offering this up to subs, but if somebody comes back to us, you know, as I say, we live in a dynamic world. You never know what's going to be a shortage or where you're going to get tagged. And it's a mechanism to, pay for those things and not, again, stop the project because something happened when you're saying, or who knows, you know, it just, again, the money goes back to you. If we don't spend it, it goes back to you.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
You have 1.5 million for contingency.
Yeah.
Previously, you had a lot more,
We did, and that's part of how the number stayed, below budget.
and you feel this is still adequate.
I think so, yeah, because the number that I had in there before, I had another line item for design contingency of about, I think, 2 million. The design contingency was specifically in a previous budget because the design wasn't complete. So as the design has completed, I don't need to have a design contingency
Yeah, you're at
anymore.
0 for that.
I took that out. And then we looked at the numbers and we looked at other projects we're doing, and we also looked at the participation we got from subcontractors. We got really good participation, so it isn't like I have one member in each trade, and it isn't like I have one guy who's crazy low and two guys who are up here. You know, everyone was in a fairly tight range, which means that the documents did a good job of defining each of the trades. So we think that that's operationally a reasonable, that is a reasonable number to carry.
So what's the difference between contingency and escalation?
Nothing.
It seems like it's the same.
I mean, you know, it's.
Okay, so you got 2.5 million
2.5 million.
of
Yeah,
contingency,
Yeah.
which is better than 5.8 million.
Yeah.
That's what you got, you had it before.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, better for us.
Right. The pre-con, which is what we've been working on.
The contract management fee, how does that number tie in? I did the math and it didn't seem to.
I'd have to go back.
2.25% of what? It's not 70,916. I did that math and it didn't come out unless I did it wrong.
Well, I would have to go back to my desk and actually tell you exactly how it's calculated, but I don't know how. It probably is taking into account the bottom line. I'd have to get back to my desk and on Excel and start to play around with it.
Okay, it's just that when numbers don't tie out,
Well,
you can ask a question.
No, it's a legitimate question, but I think it probably is, the fee is probably calculating on the. But again, I would have to go back to my desk and tell you.
Chuck,
It's basically all the other items, including contingency and everything else above it.
Yeah, that's
It's
what I
a
thought.
cumulative total, 70
Yeah.
plus those items below. Multiplied by
Cause
that.
I get a lower number than,
Right, if it was just up to 70, almost 71 million, yeah.
It calculates off of our bond cost, our builder's risk insurance, you know, there's certain things it doesn't calculate off.
so what gets added to that? What gets added to the $70 million figure?
I would have to sit that.
Okay, we can talk about
I mean, I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, I'd have to get an Excel spreadsheet and make sure it's all being done, calculated properly.
It only excludes, it's everything above except for that 20,000 sum figure. That's what it looks like.
I mean, it's typically based on everything, because if we spend contingency, we're not gonna hit you with another fee
Yeah, it's
to
like
spend
30,000.
contingency, it's already in the number. So it's usually on the
Basically.
sub-grand total, less pre-con, probably what it meant.
But so would that fee go down basically, like if we don't dip as much into the escalation, we're not gonna pay out on something that we don't incur.
Exactly.
That's why it's the
Okay.
GMP.
So the contract management fees will be added on to individual invoices.
Exactly.
As we see them, it'll be 2.25%.
On cost of the work.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this is that number is actually an estimate.
It is,
In some
it's a
respects.
ballpark, yeah.
Okay.
And that's why it's where.
That's why they wrote the percentage.
Right, because depending on.
Okay.
All right, very good. Any questions?
I just want to say one thing. I think it's noteworthy, and Mark said it at the beginning that they try to be fair to their vendors. And then he followed by saying, we had great participation, great participation, great participation. That's why they have great participation, because they're a good contractor to work for. And when we were trying to find a CM, that was one of the reasons why we chose Harvey, because they have a wonderful reputation, not just for being fair to their contractors, but also being fair to the owners. It was absolutely something that we looked at. And I think it's worth saying. I mean, you just kind of throw, no, you know, we try and be fair, but you had really, really good participation. I think that's worth saying.
No, thank you. And the other reality is that there's two things. We do try to be fair with everybody. The other thing is we run an organized job and a safe job, so that the subs, when we tell a sub, we want you there 2 weeks from today, they show up, we're ready. It's not like we want you there 2 weeks from today, and then on a Friday afternoon, you call the guy and say, hey, we're not ready. And he's got 20 people ready to show up, and now he's got to figure out what he's gonna do on Monday. So they know that our jobs are organized, they're clean, they're safe, and everyone has a good opportunity to do their work and not be a disorganized mess, because I'm sure that you've been around plenty of construction sites that are just physically messy, and they're not well organized, and people, it reflects, it is part of why the subs want to work for us.
And if I may,
Yeah.
I just want to dovetail on that on an anecdotal sort I had with some interaction with some OSHA member, who I've never heard OSHA extol anyone, but they had wonderful things to say about Harvey. That you guys were the model, I mean, like a model of running a safe construction site. I mean, so
It's important in our culture to make sure people go home at night. right?
I
mean, it's a
agree.
dangerous industry.
But when we talk about how, like, we as a county want to, and you guys are a reflection of, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, when you hear that, just not knowing, it wasn't, I had a conversation, we were developing this was just a gratuitous statement by someone. It struck me, pretty.
Great feedback.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's good to hear.
and I get to watch you guys in Londonderry, because I drive to Market Basket from
Oh, with
Derry.
the Baldwin, yeah.
Yeah, I'm watching
Yeah.
all that stuff go up.
Yeah.
So.
And you can see the progress there.
Absolutely.
That progress is fine.
Yeah. And for me, it's, before I was a commissioner, I was a state rep, I was a delegate member, so. I can remember 8 years ago when we had Gary Azarian, and it was really just a dream. And I kept saying, this is, just a bond, this is probably not gonna happen, you know, but it was an idea. You know, and then opera money had showed up. And, you know, here we are today, and I'm very excited to see this get started because
Absolutely.
here's a dream that's coming to reality. And, I think, Registry of Deeds and the county attorney, I think that those two departments are probably the happiest to get out of that basement.
Yeah.
The employees are all excited. They're asking, when is this getting going? When is this getting going? So this is great. It's gonna be a good project. I know you guys are very much professionals and, can't wait to begin.
Everyone in the town of Salem is pleased with the work that you've done on all the schools.
Oh, thank you. So we pride ourselves on, Salem's been a great partner for us.
We're waiting for Woodbury to be finished now.
January.
Okay.
Jonathan, do you have something?
I think that was a great summary in terms of costs. A couple of things I just want to clarify. So the communication with the town of Brentwood came together in the last couple of weeks. And I'm just questioning here, we got a building permit cost of 33 grand.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that that includes the state fire marshal's inspection services. And that would have changed in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks since we met to Brentwood and the decision was made that the fire marshal was gonna act as the building inspector.
Right.
And I apologize, Mark, I probably didn't, I didn't hook you up with Sean or Mitch at the state fire marshal's office. So the reason I bring that up is we're doing that in Sullivan and that cost was over 100 grand. So we need to look at that. The second,
We're at 33,000.
yeah, and I think that's just the building, I think that's just the permit fee. It don't,
It is the permit.
yeah, so it doesn't,
that directly?
We're not pulling permits for them.
we're not pulling permits from Brentwood.
We're not charging the back fees either,
Yeah.
but the state.
That's actually.
No, right, I thought
What's that?
get paid directly to.
The state farmer.
That's the state.
So the state fire marshal is gonna act as the building inspector.
In my calculations of the budget evaluation, I included all of those numbers that you identified in your contract, including the $150,000 for state fire marshal. There are several others, 140,000 for special inspections. These are the items that we agreed you were going to manage, so we didn't have to pay the fee, all of those pieces. Right, so I don't think it needs to be added to your budget.
But the state fire marshal,
No.
that's not mine.
That's not yours.
No,
Who's gonna do that?
Harvey needs to do that,
No.
because they're gonna be coordinating with
Yeah,
them.
We call the inspector for sure.
exactly.
Exactly.
So
Right, 'cause you'll
Mark and I
have
just,
time
I'm just
to-
bringing it up, that Mark and I need to talk about it. I mean, I'm seeing the breakdown this morning, just like everybody else, so it's just a thought, maybe it's covered, maybe it's not.
Alright.
The other thing that I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands is that, the AOT permit is in hand. The wetlands permit is expected to be issued middle of next week. We've worked through that. Fish and Game is satisfied. But in the last week, we've had the surprise from the DOT district office to come up about the driveway permit. And it's very likely that we won't have a driveway permit for 6 to 8 months. Just the process. So this, Brian, I'm gonna ask you to step in and make some
Yeah.
phone calls. But I don't know the outcome of that. We're gonna do a scoping meeting in the next 3 weeks with the district office. What comes out of the scoping meeting is the extent of the traffic study. And then once the traffic study is done, that dictates how they wanna handle the road. The really bizarre thing here is the way that the district looks at the curb cut, they look at just that half of the road and just that curb cut. They don't take into account that corrections and the sheriff are already on North Road and they take a right
Instead of.
now instead of taking a left. So they look at it like this and they don't look at the impact that you're actually reducing traffic on the other side of the half of the road. There's a magic threshold number.
Yeah.
And because of that traffic going to the new municipal
They're
complex,
acting like it's all new traffic.
it's all new traffic, it triggers the traffic study, which could trigger
additional work that we don't know. It could be a decel lane, an excel lane, a turning lane, a blinking light, a four-way stop. I don't know. But that.
The only new traffic is going to be county attorney's office and the registry of deeds.
But we can't get
They're
them to
also
look
looking at
at it.
future
Right.
population.
We've been
growth.
mentioning it on an ongoing basis, but until we actually sit down with them, they're very much looking at it, as Jonathan says, in kind of a vacuum. They're only looking at the curb cut. They're not taking into consideration the reality of the site. So we need to explain that to them when we start meeting with them.
So
We don't know.
relative to the driveway, there's been talk about sheep coming into the solar farm to help manage the grass.
All named Tom.
So, my question is, do we have an appropriate road
Absolutely. We have
driveway
a dirt
to make-
driveway now.
to make all that, and
Yes.
that will still be an existing?
Yes, there's a dirt road now that goes out to the well, the water treatment facility and the well houses. We'll use that road to get the sheep. If we're able to, come up with an agreement, there is an organization that partners with solar farms. I think it would be really cool if we could do it instead of getting somebody out there mowing it or what have you.
Right,
If we can, we'll use that dirt road.
okay.
And then
So
just.
they won't be going trips and.
John's
through
what I
the-
mentioned,
No, no,
I
no.
got help out of the DOT thing, because prior to this, I was on 8 years as a state rep on transportation.
Oh, good.
So I know Bill Cass, who's now the head of that, and I recently went up there to testify on exit 4A. As you guys know, what's
yeah.
going on
Yep,
over there. Some people were bashing DOT, I went up to praise them, so timing's pretty good. But anyway, any way I can help them.
I only bring it up because I don't know what the cost impact of that is. DOT was notified last June. The bizarre process is that they don't make it an issue until they're actually at the end of issuing the AOT permit. But they should have said something and made it an issue a year ago, and they didn't, and it just came up in the comments with AOT, so we'll do the scoping meeting, we'll figure out what we need to do for a traffic study. The traffic study is gonna take 2 months. We got to put counters in the road and all that kind of nonsense.
But the
And-
traffic study doesn't delay the work,
No.
correct?
No, my understanding from Naomi is that we can start construction, we can access it behind,
Okay.
Nutrition Meals on Wheels. It's the path Mark had planned on using all
Yeah.
along.
Yeah, we planned on that.
Okay.
we need to stay away from wetlands, we need to stay away from,
Understood. And all along, I've always said many times over, my biggest concern are delays and opera money.
Right.
So, the federal government, yesterday, there was an amendment put in to claw back unobligated opera funds, which is getting me very nervous.
Yep.
So we gotta kind of monitor that stuff too. And the sooner we get going, the better.
well, I'm very nervous because pricing is, pricing is today, tomorrow it's different, so I'm anxious to see this approved and the second part of Harvey's contract signed, and so they can make commitments to move forward.
Yeah. As soon as we sign, my understanding is as soon as we sign the contract, those monies are now obligated.
Yes, and
So-
even the federal sense, yeah.
So we're protected
Yes.
once we sign it.
Um,
Mr. Coyle.
Assuming anyone's done, Mr. Chairman, would you entertain a motion?
Sure.
with
Yeah.
respect to this?
Anybody,
Is there anyone else?
any
who
more
wishes to
input at
speak?
all on the project?
So, I was gonna say, does 33,000 have to become 150
I think,
for the building permit? For the,
I
sorry, I'm not trying to be.
mean, I can amend the, yeah, so.
I mean, we could put the difference is 70,000, right? So we could just add that.
150.
Well, I think 550 might be
Right, 70.
would safer.
Yeah.
What are you adding in?
My
117,000.
new Cadillac and trip to Aruba.
It's for that.
For the state final.
Oh, 100.
We just.
Hundred and fifty versus the 33 that I carried, so
So,
it's $117,000.
We should probably have you have that number.
All right, so,
Yeah.
so just to be clear, these, I mean, it's an allowance. There is, the issue of testing that, is carried in Harvey's estimate. We can talk about who contracts for that down the road, that comes out of or doesn't come out of. And there are other costs that fall under the owner's side that's not part of this. And those are those numbers I believe that Commissioner, you were talking about.
All the testing.
The testing, the special inspections, those things, that's third party. That's the box watching. Harvey.
Yeah.
Got it. Very good. All right.
So
So
what's the process? What can we expect for, are we gonna get more documentation than this? And are you gonna send us a formal contract that's got 500 pages on it, or what we expect?
We have a signed contract.
Right, okay, so
So-
this amendment to the
So
contract.
this is just a GMP exhibit,
Yeah,
which is the pricing and the schedule and all the detail that goes along with what we're agreeing to as.
The contract's already been reviewed by Rocky County Council
It's been executed.
and executed and signed. We're just signing,
The
you're just
cost.
putting the number on the GMP exhibit and signing the second part of that.
get it going.
To get it going.
And what that allows us to do is to start engage with the subcontractors and start hiring them. So we can get going on the project.
right, but what I'm getting at, are we getting more detail than what we have right here?
You will over
You
time.
will get more detail in there.
Yeah.
When we agree to sign? Not
No,
just the total amount of detail that you're giving us before you're asking us to sign? Or are we getting, I sent along a list of items that I was interested
I
in.
actually have a bunch of detail here. I just don't know how much time. It basically, I know that it rejigger, it would be going over the same territory, but yes, we have.
So as part of the GMP Exhibit A.
Yeah.
Which is the document that was in the contract. So the contract has this 3-page document that identifies the parties, the guaranteed maximum price, the schedule, the allowances that are in our contract, the date of completion, the date of start, all that detail is identified. So that's just memorializing the list of documents that Jonathan issued, the specifications, the addenda. So we're tying everything back to a set of documents that we're gonna use that, and we're gonna contract with all the subcontractors to tie them to that same
So
information.
the process that's gonna occur is that over probably, I'll pick a time frame over the next 3 months, as they buy out all the different trades, Harvey will issue a memo basically saying, we recommend S&S Concrete for the slab work based on these kinds of things. Jude, I'll see it, Jude will see it. And Harvey asked us to agree that we're gonna award that subcontract. And that's how it's gonna happen. Every line item, as again, the numbers came in the last couple of days, so Mark needs the time to vet all of these to make sure everything's included. And then that detail comes when they do the buyout.
And it just goes in sequence of what we need first for the project, right? So we don't need to buy toilet partitions today, right? That's gonna take 3 months from now, but we need to buy the site contractor, the structural steel. We wanna get the foundation guy going, the rebar for, so there's a process. It just takes a little while. What we have to give you, so you have comfort, is the GMP, which is the guaranteed maximum price, to make sure you guys have the funds to make us go forward.
Yeah.
So we're committing that to you today.
Okay, that's what this is here. Right. Specifically, I sent Andrew a list of items that we were looking for, that I was looking for.
Correct.
That, my question is, are we getting that as part
Yeah,
of
this
GMP?
document will be given to Jude, and, for execution.
Okay. So can you send that to us, I assume electronically, so that I can review it electronically? PDF, that's nothing fancy, just.
Commissioner Coyle.
I think to this point, Commissioner Churchill, or our chair, but I feel comfortable moving forward with the motion, given the amount of explanation today, as well as the history of what we've all been discussing for some time. I am extraordinarily impressed that you were able to come under what we originally anticipated, and so.
I'm not comfortable.
I make a motion and I move to accept the GMP in the amount of $76,700,000 I'm sorry, $76,856,235.
Let me get that number again, 76, 8.
$856,235.
Thank you.
And authorize the chair and the board to execute part 2 of the county's contract with Harvey Construction, as well as all other necessary related documents as recommended by the Board of Commissioners.
Okay. And I will second that motion. Is there further discussion on that?
Yes, I think it's completely irresponsible that we're not taking a little bit more time. We got these documents today. I mean, the detail of the budget is, we just got a few minutes ago. We have no time to look at it or review it or to, think about it or, come up with any questions. And, I think it's just irresponsible to even be voting on this 5 minutes after we get the GMP. I'm completely against this.
That's fine. Sure, Claude, you have anything to add at all? Or?
I think I expressed my level of comfort, stems from spending a lot of time, reviewing the installment of the building and, I feel very comfortable with our relationship with Harvey and that you guys are going to do a wonderful job for our work and we'll have a working relationship in terms of building this building. I feel excited and I think it's really important on 2 fronts that we move forward today. The first being to lock in some of these bids. This will be the best way to ensure we could reduce that contingency because the only thing, time is against us in terms of having to tap into that contingency. So I feel that locking in these bids is critical to moving forward. The secondary issue is, I think it is absolutely imperative that we get those ARPA funds assigned because tomorrow like any day going forward, we could have a material change and that could make this project not feasible.
I just want to note that we are 5 months behind schedule.
Yeah.
We had anticipated having a GMP and going out to bid in November, December, and having a number at the first of the year, and it's now May. So in terms of the long-term ARPA commitment and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Just reminding everybody we're behind schedule because of permitting.
Right. And
I'll just note, we have plenty of time with ARPA. A week or two reviewing this is not going to delay the possibility or cause the possibility of ARPA money not being available. We have until 2024 to contract. We have until 2026 to complete, or Jack, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but a couple of weeks or a week is not significant. So with as far as the jeopardizing or the potential jeopardizing of ARPA funds, that's not a reason to give an hour's worth of presentation and then an automatic rubber stamp. I don't think it's reasonable.
And I was wondering did you hear what I just mentioned a little while ago? That there was a federal bill, an amendment put on there to claw back ARPA money that was unobligated. That's out there now. The fact that we had rental assistance that was clawed back. But when you're saying that we have plenty of time, you don't know that.
We have a week.
You don't know that. And I beg to differ with you. They're already talking about clawing it back. Now, I wouldn't be doing a good service to the taxpayer if they clawed it back and I got to tell the taxpayer, oh, you're on the hook for that balance. I just don't think that's right. I've seen this project move for the last 8 years, so I'm comfortable with it. I'm going to vote yes, so, but I will take the roll call. So if there's no more discussion, I'll take the vote on that. So Commissioner Foil?
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
No.
And I vote yes. So we'll get that ball rolling and take it from there.
Thank you all.
Very,
Thank you
we're
very much for
very
that conversation.
excited.
Very exciting. Thank you.
Great job. Yes.
Or can you be suggested?
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to working with you.
So wait, man, good work.
Thank you very much.
I don't know, I haven't looked at it yet.
It's guaranteed.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah, appreciate your time.
Commissioner, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
You too.
Very good. You are.
Thank you. We still have the.
Yes, Jason said, he sent me a text saying he has the award.
We still recording, Leila?
Yes.
Leila, we still recording? Let's take a couple minute break here.
Yeah, if you have any other questions on that. Yeah.
Okay. So. How do we want to?
So we're back in,
Back in
Public.
public, yeah.
and we had tabled the award of the dishwasher for the Hobart commercial dishwasher. And so we're back to discuss it, and then we will make the award. So
Okay.
you want to see?
Yes.
Can we?
But we received 4 estimates and we have quickly gone through them. But we discarded the one that was over 300,000 because it was
good.
really too high. We reviewed Alternative Sales Corp, Singer, and also Douglas. Douglas is a little bit higher because they've quoted something that was not in the specifications. I confirmed with Glendale that we do not need this particular product, so we removed that item from the quote. It still is higher than the other 2, so we removed that. And then we're left with Singer and Alternative Sales. We've compared to make sure that we have the same items, and from there, Alternative Sales is lower.
Okay.
Alternative sales.
And so,
What's the number?
with that, I can make.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna make the motion. I was just
Yes.
filling my thing. Go ahead.
Yes,
Go ahead.
and with that, I move to award the Hobart Commercial Dishwasher to Alternative Sales Corp. For an amount not to exceed $249,575.44 as recommended by the Senior Director of Long-Term Care Services.
Second, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none on the motion, Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
Commissioner Coyle?
Yes,
And I vote yes. Okay,
and
is there any other further business to be
Well,
done?
Well, now it's.
we have to discuss the funding source.
Oh, yeah,
So-
yeah.
I guess my questions are as it relates to funding. If we're going to, if you place the order, when do we have to have the money? Like, what's the timeline for placing the order, getting it fulfilled and the?
Right, there was, I don't have the paperwork with me, but there was a breakout of how much percentage wise it needed to be, once we order it, they're requesting, I wanna say. Correct. And then I think once it's here, it's 75%, and then once it's completed, it's the remaining percentage.
And what is the timeline?
It will take, once it's ordered, we will need to pay the fee for ordering. Once we get the invoice, once this is okayed, we'll get an invoice. And then once they receive payment for the deposit, they will go and order it. This was the company also that confirmed that it will take anywhere from, I think it was.
Just 7 weeks?
Yes, correct.
Was this the original? thing?
This was the original company. But I also wanted to note is that with the amount of also disposal of the current piece of equipment, this is still lower than what was originally quoted.
Oh, good. Okay,
Yeah, so it's like 250.
so do we need to make a motion just for the initial payment?
No. What,
Or does it, because where's it coming from? Is it coming from
So-
opera, or do we have this in the budget the first?
That's
time?
why I proposed to reallocate part of the 800,000 that was for the
yeah,
contracted or extra temporary attorney help. Because there'd still be remaining, quite a bit of funds, 560, well, 550,000 or so to cover what the sheriffs were requesting and what Pat might still have.
Okay, so are we recommending the whole thing's coming from that fund?
That was my recommendation, but that's,
What do you, how do you feel about it?
I am more inclined to, I'm more inclined to budget for it. Because in terms of, I don't really have a good handle, and I'm sure, maybe you do, Chuck, maybe you feel like we can absorb, again, $250,000 from ARPA and put us in a good position. I think,
well, there's 800,000 that was already part of.
Right.
ARPA separate from all the billing
Yes.
stuff.
right,
So this would be reducing this part of that allocation, and put it to a different category.
So you're recommending taking from opera?
From a different piece of already allocated monies. from
Yes,
ARPA.
yeah, the 800,000, so,
Yeah.
okay, I'm more apt to do that. And then if that happens, you're making an adjustment? to the
Yes,
current budget?
so, yes, so basically, the county, the additional prosecution help will be, instead of 800,000, they'll be down to about 550. And then the amount expended looks like near term, it won't be county attorneys asking for help, it'll be the prosecution contract that sheriff's office comes back with.
But I'm talking about the money that we placed into the,
budget for the dishwasher.
right, yeah, 24.
Oh, I'd
If
taken
we
that
take that-
out, that was 106,000 I was out.
So it's
Instead of
all
106, you'd be getting 249.
right, so you already took that out of the budget
Yeah.
we have,
Yes.
okay. All right, so you're gonna be the deciding vote, Commissioner Godu, whether you want to do it, put it in the budget, you'll have to add it back into the budget. He's already taken it out and recommended ARPA. I'm on his side on that.
I'm the ARPA.
Okay, well,
Oh, there's
I
a
don't,
memo.
okay, so I will
think
make
there
the
is.
motion, okay.
Yeah.
The motion's on the second page.
Oh, thank you, I was gonna, or I was just.
Layla's got it.
Of course you have it. Okay. I move to approve a Rockingham County American Rescue Plans Act project in the amount of $249,575.44 for the long-term care dietary services commercial dishwasher system replacement, EC 6.1 revenue replacement as recommended by the Senior Director of Finance.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any more discussion? Not on the motion, Commissioner Coyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Just
you.
a quick question. I don't know. Years ago, I was actually in the printing business as well. And if we paid it all at once, sometimes they offer the discount
I could ask that question.
because they're offering installment, but if we pay it all at once, do we get a discount? I mean,
I can ask that
Check into it?
question. Yeah,
Okay.
and then report back, but.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Generally feel uncomfortable paying something all upfront without delivery of the goods. Because as we see in an industry where things go belly up when I don't have any reason to believe that this company isn't going to produce the item, but I think it's bad practice to pay for everything without putting all the money up front, especially if it's so big.
Okay, I'm going to basically say the same thing I had said earlier. I'm a little nervous that these obligated funds, well, it is obligated, that is obligated.
Well, I mean, it's obligated in our sense that it was allocated a while ago. And so now you're just moving a portion of it.
So that wouldn't be considered unobligated?
Well, I mean, it's obligated, this is obligated because we've already got an award now.
Right, okay, I got you.
You've got an award, you got an
All right.
approved ARPA. you know,
Right, don't worry,
program.
I mean,
So-
I was just,
Yes, so it's obligated.
Okay.
all right, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Hopefully that.
Yeah, back to